Hey, y'all. Good morning. If you are in the United States, good evening. If you are somewhere else around the world, hey, y'all, it's Cecile. I am so happy to be going live today. Last week, we started a conversation with a group of colleagues and friends who are all participating in the Do You Remember You virtual summit on self-care. And we had such a good time and had such a good response that I am bringing everybody back again this week so we can continue that conversation. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cecile Armstrong. I am a self-care and social justice facilitator. I teach anti-racism with self-care and joy. I basically teach people how to let go of blame, shame, and guilt so they can make anti-racism a habit. I'm also the founder of the Inspired by Indigo membership and community, where we follow my 4 pillars every month in order to make this a habit. And the 4 pillars are self-care, that is number 1, because healing is a form of protest. The second pillar is know your facts, and we talk about the history of racism. We talk about the societal systems that are in place that keep people oppressed. And then the second pillar is to undo the work. You take what you've learned and you go out in the world and you do something to make a difference. And then the final pillar of the 4 is to rest and celebrate, because you got to give yourself a break and you got to celebrate the wins where you can get them. And so now I'm going to bring on my guests for today and do a little introduction for each of them, and we will get started with the conversation. Welcome, y'all. How is everyone?
Good
Wonderful.
All right, I'm going to start with the introductions. Let me bring up Latanya Rawls. Latanya is an Army veteran with a background as a medical assistant, master cosmetologist, and as a life insurance agent. Even though these positions were aligned with ways to be in service and in support of others, they were not really aligned with her gifts. She didn't find her true passion until she was on the brink of divorce and severely depressed. Then she took a long, hard look at how she needed to change her life around and became committed to becoming her authentic self. Through her committed action, she was able to overcome her depression and save her marriage. And here's the key for her. She knew she wasn't alone. So she made it her mission to help others overcome their obstacles, starting with the one thing that they can control, themselves.
Right.
Thanks for being here, Latanya.
Thank you.
Oops. And y'all excuse me while I figure out how to work this StreamYard. All right. All right. This is my friend Ada Anafawoshe. Did I say that correctly? Close. All right. He is an intuitive healer, a mindset coach, a sacred drummer, and a podcaster. He has a unique way of bringing his clients to a place of self-acceptance and self-compassion. He uses his intuitive abilities to access deeper wisdom and move his clients and audience from their current reality to where they want to be. And I got to say, I have not known him long, but he has already seriously influenced and affected my life. So thank you for that. Ada's teaching is rooted in the understanding that we are the faces of our ancestors. They live in us and we live in them. He believes that real transformation happens when we're willing to do the necessary healing work. Otherwise, we are simply living from a mindset of separation. He also says everything is connected and it all belongs. His mission is to assist people in bridging the gap between the shadow and the light. Now that is powerful. And last but not least, my friend Christine. Y'all have seen me on live with her several times. Christine Gautreaux is dedicated to the pursuit of play, joy, art, and social justice. Her superpowers include connecting people, and we talked about that last time. That is definitely a superpower. Helping folks manifest their dreams, standing up against injustice, and using art to make a difference in the world. Christine believes in the power of body wisdom and somatic play to help heal trauma. She also works with professional caregivers, activists, and artists maintain balance and self-care during these intense times we find ourselves living in. She holds a bachelor's and a master's degree in social work and is a professional speaker, coach, and author and entrepreneur. She's the co-author of Still Point, a caregiver's playbook to find ease and take a deep breath and reclaim joy. And she's also the co-host of Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. All right. Welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me for back.
Good morning.
Thank
All
you
right.
for the invitation.
Yes.
I feel privileged.
So I want to start with Latanya. Since we are all part of the Do You Remember You Summit, I want to start with you, Latanya, and give you a chance to tell our viewers what this summit is about.
Thank you, Cecile. Good morning, everyone. So like Cecile said, like this all came from my own struggles with heartache, depression, and just feeling lost. And so I created this Do You Remember Summit to basically help and support other people through their journey once I understood just how important it was to focus on myself and know and learn who I really am, which helped me find my passion. And so through that journey, I connected with all these amazing people who also share that same passion. The summit's going on now. It's a free online event, and I know Cecile will post the link down below so you guys can check it out. And I just hope that everyone finds value and is able to start their own journey from listening to all these amazing speakers that I was able to connect with.
Awesome. Yes, I already put the link in the description. So if people are like ready to jump on right now, you just go in the description and click the link and you will be able to get your free ticket to the summit.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So I know Christine is the one who connected me with you.
Yep.
And so, Christine, I want to give you a chance right now to talk about the things that I just mentioned in your introduction, to talk about how you use somatic play, how you use movement to actually help people do self-care and to heal.
Oh, thanks for that invitation, Cecile. So one of the modalities I use is a modality called interplay, which uses movement and storytelling and voice. And it is an organization, a movement, it's a modality, it's all those things. And that is how I'm connected to Ade too. And the thing is in order to be present, in order to fully experience life and to heal, I truly believe we have to be in our bodies. Like it is all physical. And so, it starts, and also stress relief, y'all. Like just taking a deep breath and letting it out with a big old sigh is a huge way to let go of some of the things that are always coming in. Because, right now the world is a little topsy-turvy and we're getting information and we are getting input all day long, thousands of times a day, and thousands of decisions we have to make. And if we don't have tools and processes in our bodies to release it, that's where, depression can come in, illness can come in. It's really self-care about being able to be in our bodies. And, the through line of my entire work, Cecile, and everybody listening, is really skills of self-care in order to sustain and thrive in community care. Because y'all, we got to do this together. Like we got to do it, our individual healing work and our individual work, and we've got to do it together.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, Christy. And I just say, you mentioned about just taking a deep breath, as a way to release. And so I want to invite you guys, and I want to invite everybody watching to take a deep breath together. Because one thing I know is that people would hear stuff like that and say, oh, that actually sounds good. And then they just keep right on doing whatever they're doing. They'll say, that sounds like that makes sense. I bet that would work for me. And then they don't do it. So I want to invite everybody right now. Take a breath with me. All right. So relax your belly. I really want you to breathe from your belly, not from your chest. Anybody who follows me has probably already heard me talk about when you're breathing from your chest, that's a way of containing your emotions. That's a way of, not releasing. And so I want you to really relax your tummy. Bring your shoulders down from your ears if they were up there. Notice if you're carrying tension somewhere in your face, wiggle your jaw around and let it go. And then just real easy, just take in a deep breath as you can. And then at your own pace, just let it go. And for those of you who do this a lot, I know that felt good. And for those of you who aren't doing this, I know you could probably use some more practice. So let's do this one more time. All right, again, intentionally letting go of the tension in your body. I want you to just take in a deep breath. Let your belly expand. And don't worry about who's looking. It doesn't matter. Let your belly relax. We're not holding this in. It's not about how you look. It's about how you feel. So take in that deep breath. And then at your own pace, just let it go. And before we move on, I want you to pay attention. You know what you felt like before, because we paused before we took that deep breath. You know what you felt like before. You know if you actually had to release the tension in your shoulders, if you had to release the tension in your belly, if you had to release the tension, in your jaw or in your head, wherever it was, you know if you had to release that. And now that you've taken those 2 deep breaths, just take a minute and just notice what your body feels like right now. All right, did any one of the 3 of y'all want to say anything? Do you feel any different?
Well, I feel different, but I got to get this out because I'm trying to hold down a laughter and it's coming up. What you said, I'm like, okay, come on, you're on camera. Like, okay, I'm trying. I remember talking to my partner and I said, baby, just take a deep breath. She said, yeah, I know, I will. You will. And it's an ongoing joke now. Like, baby, take a breath. Like now, not later. So when you said that, it reminded me of that. And I was like, trying not to laugh. We laugh about that all the time. So yeah, I will. You now.
Right now. It takes a few seconds.
I got to schedule that in.
Right. And since you are the one bringing the laughter, I am going to bring you up on the layout and give you a chance to talk about what you are doing for this virtual summit. I love your concept about connecting to the ancestors. And I've already told you how just listening to you last week actually affected me. So I'm giving you a chance to talk to the people.
And start the timer now. 10 seconds remaining. There are no accidents. And of course, everything is connected. This summit and meeting you, Cecile, has really helped me remember me and redefine my work. And what my talk was called, it's called representing our ancestors, representing our stories. It's represent. So you get to do it in a new way. You get to represent your ancestors and you get to represent your stories. You get to drop the labels and tell the truth about you. And what it's done for me is there's a lot of things that I do. I have several workshops that I have. I'm an Aries, I'm creative. So I want to do this, I want to do that. I hear laughter over it. I understand. So a few weeks ago, maybe a week ago, actually, I was just talking to you all. It just got very clear that the essence of my work is representing our ancestors and representing our stories. And I just made that shift. Do you remember you? I do now, even more so. I'm clear what my work is about. So everything I do from this point forward is under that. We're remembering those who came before us, those who passed life onto us, those whose features that I'm wearing, their blood is in me, their cells, their DNA is in me. I'm living in my ancestors. I am their face. Those who came before me from thousands and millions of years ago, before I even knew, I probably was floating in the ethers like, I'm not ready yet, I'll wait. But we're carrying that. And because sometimes we say we got to forget the past. There's nothing good for you in the past. That's not true. The past is full of wisdom and insight. It's the stories that doesn't serve you that you carry about the past. Well, that happened to me, and that's why I never amount to nothing. No. And you're not really having a thought about the past. You're having a thought in the now. So my thing is just reminding people that the past brought you to where you are. In fact, there was a time 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, where I am now was once the future. So I'm here now, which means I am the future of my past. The dreams, the thoughts, the ideas, the frustrations, the actions I took or didn't take have brought me to where I'm at today. So unless, I don't want to be so dramatic, but I'll use that word loosely, unless we're willing to embrace what brought us to where we are, because that's celebrating the journey, the things that happened and the things that didn't happen, that brought us, that brought me, that brought you to where you are today is why we're here. And the summit allows us to kind of take a moment to submit to the great I am. Like, I'm in a different place. Who am I? It's an ongoing question. There is no destination. And the more we check in, the more we stop to take a deep breath, we get to tell a new story. We get to tell a different story and change the labels. Not like, oh my God, I'm always so anxious when no. Just stop. Come back to yourself and trust the wisdom of your body. And as we do, we get to tell a new story about ourselves. We don't carry these stories. I'm always like that. I'm the only one in the family. I'm the black sheep. Yeah, you're that, but that's because you're the creative one, living and walking on the leading edge. So my work really is about just helping us come back to ourselves and remembering truly that we are enough. Right here, right now, we were and we will be enough. Nothing's ever going to change that unless we think it's not so.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Clap. Yes. And I felt you with that deep breath. Woo. So
Yes.
look, I'm eating that piece while we're on here because I know so many people don't breathe. So let me see. Oh, Brigitte is on with us. Oh, she's loving what you're saying. She said, we are enough right here, right now.
Brigitte is with us. Oh, hey, my new friend.
Good. So I'm going to invite everybody one more time to take another deep breath. So again, check in with your body because I know, this is what I know. If you are not in the habit of checking in with your body, the way you hold yourself and the tension that you carry, the minute you stop looking, it goes right back to that. So check in with your body one more time. Are your shoulders up here or are they relaxed? You know, are you clenching your jaw without even thinking about it? Are you breathing in your chest and really shadow? Check in with your body. And then intentionally relax wherever you're tense, especially your tongue. And then let's take in another deep belly breath. And exhale at your own pace. And I'll tell you, when I talk about making anti-racism a habit, and people are like, oh, that's so good, you know, because it's not a one-time thing. We do need to make it a habit. That's why we get to do this thing all the time. And when I say the first step is self-care, most people look at me like, what? But if you notice, when you take that deep breath and you get in your body, that actually builds your capacity to learn, to take in new ideas, to actually shift your mindset. You know, it opens up your capacity to change your behavior. And so that's why self-care is the first thing. And I'm hearing feedback. Are y'all hearing that? Or is it just
a little?
All right. Let me turn down my mic a little bit.
And I love that you keep having us go back to our breath, because a lot of times we don't understand how these simple acts can ground you and be a huge shift by doing simple things that people overlook. I think that it's not going to change me. I'm feeling this way. How's taking a deep breath going to help me? But I feel so relaxed. I feel like so present with you guys right now, just from taking a deep breath. And because I am tensing my shoulders. And now I'm thinking, how am I holding my shoulders? Am I holding like those thoughts are running through my mind. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for breathing with me.
I think it's good also because the analogy that I give people is think of your mobile devices when it's 15%. Oh my God, where's my charger? Oh my God, where's my charger? Well, that's what we're doing when we take a deep breath. We're charging ourselves because you're running your body, physical body's run out of energy. And you're no use when you're 5%. You get irritated. And so you got to charge. You can charge.
Yep. I love that analogy.
I do too.
Yeah.
That's an awesome analogy, because those of us that do the work we do and are often solopreneurs or entrepreneurs, you know, we have those days where literally our phone dies at noon because we've been on it so much, or we've been streaming, or and those are the very days we need to stop and take a deep breath and be in our body in order to continue and to do the work. Great. Thanks, Ade.
And Christine, you were talking the last time about how people who are into social justice, especially, are seeing so many health complications because we don't stop and we don't take care of ourselves. And just And people are thinking that self-care means you got to have enough money to go to a spa. You got to have enough money to pay for a massage. You know, they're thinking that it's all of these things that are like beyond our reach sometimes, or, you know, out of our budget, or it's something that we have to do with somebody else, or we have to be somewhere other than where we are. When, you know, just the act of pausing, feeling what your body feels like, and then taking a deep breath is like the simplest thing you can do to care for yourself, and everything else builds from that.
Well, absolutely. And I talked about in the summit, and you and I have had this conversation several times, Cecile, but you know, there's actual skills to self-care, like, as you know, because you teach them, just like teaching us here to do that belly breath. So we talk about in the book Still Point, we talk about the 5 skills of self-care, and the first one being sorting and separating. Like sorting and separating what's mine and what's yours. Because often, like some of the things that takes us down, whether it's in our work or it's in the world, is we get all jumbled up and we project onto other people, or we get all in our head, or we make up a story about it. And it's like, whoa, remember who we are. Like, let's sort and separate. Who am I? And yes, we're all interconnected and we are in relationship with each other. But if we don't have those boundaries and we don't sort and separate what's mine versus what's yours, and we all have a piece to do. So what's mine to do, what's yours to do, and what's ours to do together. So that's the first skill of self-care. And some people are like, wait, you're not talking about a massage? Don't get me wrong. My body, even as I say the word, is like, girl, it's been way too long. No, like there are real skills that we can do. And the 5th one we talk about, I'm going to bring that one up because it's the one I struggle with all the time, is saying no in order to say yes. Like making a choice. Because, you know, Ade, you said I'm an Aries and I like to do it all. You know, I'm not an Aries, I'm a Cancer, but I'm right there with you. Like, I'm like, yes. And then I'm like, wait, there's really only 24 hours in the day. I have to expand time now. So, you know, being able to, one of the skills of self-care is living in our values, knowing what our values are. So we get to say yes or no through that lens of social justice, through that lens of our values. So there's, you know, if something comes along that looks pretty, but it's not in our value lane, we can say thank you. And, or how does Ariana Grande say it? Thank you next. Like, and it's okay to make those choices.
I'm glad you mentioned being in your body, because I know we talked about that on your interview and that was a struggle, but just like being really mindful and focused when we did this breathing exercise, like I feel my body more than I ever have in a long time. Like, it's like nice to know I can just really be more mindful about the breathing to get connected to myself. I mean, I'm feeling really weird right now. So I'm just like, woo.
Well, and Latanya, be gentle with yourself, because, you know, your background of being in the Army, like there are defenses that our bodies build and create in order to survive. There are environments we have had to put up shields in. And so it is a skill to learn how to get into your body. It is, you can take incremental steps. Like, we don't want to throw you into the deep end of the pool when you don't know how to swim, right? So that's why you find a coach, or you find a group, or you find Cecile, and you find somebody that can be gentle and be your guide through it. And Ade, like any one of us on this call, that could help you in some way or another with what you're working on. So it's identifying, like, what support do you need? That's when I talk about, we don't have to do it by ourselves. Like, we all think, oh, I should just intuitively know this. Well, if you haven't been exposed to it, or you've built up survival shields, then it's okay not to know. Like, you just, and really, y'all, this embodiment movement has been going on a long time, but it's just now getting mainstream. It's just now people are starting to go, oh.
Yeah, and it's hard to intuitively know something when our society teaches us the exact opposite. I mean, we were born into a society that teaches us that, you know, any movement is good, whether you're making progress or not, that, you know, has a distraction. And so the things that we're talking about being still, about breathing, about knowing what your values are and being able to separate what's yours and what somebody else's, those are things that we're not getting. So it's fine if you don't know how to do those things, but recognize it so you can start to learn. And it's fine to have to get with a group or get with a coach or something to learn this stuff, because society teaches us the exact opposite. That's why I say in my step 1 of my 4 pillars is that self-care is a form of protest.
That's what I was thinking about. Yes.
I love
I was
that.
thinking about it if you were talking. It's so true, because we've been told to be disassociated from our bodies. What we feel when you're sensitive, don't be so sensitive. When someone is crying, we quickly stop them from crying, patting them on the back. It's like, get your hands off, let it cry. We from childhood, there's some parts of our bodies we can't talk about. Pleasure, God doesn't want you to have pleasure. You have to wait. All the things that bring us life. Then the same people who say that God wants you to have life more abundantly, it's like there's this thing when we're told that. Anyway, I'll say it and people can take it however they want, that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. This body is where the divine is living in. The Christ consciousness, the source energy, universe, whatever name you want to call it, it's living in my body. Now, that's a manly thinking, because we take the infinite and squeeze it into the body. But I can get the spirit of that statement that this body is carrying something essential, something valuable. The spirit of the Holy Spirit. I need to take care of this body. I often talk about, the White House in America. It brings up all kinds of things for people. However, if that building, if they were going to sell that building right now, they could put any amount on it. Why? Because of the people who lived in it. Like, oh yeah, we could charge $10 billion for this house because all the presidents of the United States of America lived in here. Well, the temple of the Holy Spirit, this brown house that I'm in, who lives in here? And how am I caring for it? What value am I giving it? So when we stop, the breath is an internal massage. It's like taking that breath and the inside relaxes. And like you said, Christine, we're now waking up to the truth. We're remembering and rediscovering that we're so much powerful than we've been told. And of course, if you're a leader who wants to keep people controlled, number one thing is to disconnect them from their bodies, from their intuition. You can't be all free and connected to your intuition and say you want to go into the military. No. We have a plan. You got to strip all of that down. And now we're going to program in order to do what needs to be done. Now we're all thawing out and thawing back into our essence, into our truth. And this is my drug. This is my passion. Remembering, teaching, and this is why I breathe.
That reminds me of the quote that I mentioned last week, that the most powerful tool in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed.
Yes. Yes.
So that keeping people disconnected from their intuition and all of that.
But you know what, Christian? Sorry, I know you want to say something. But even in the military, LaTanya, I'm sure you can back me up with this. They teach how to listen to your body, be present in your body. I remember watching a program on PBS many years ago, and they were teaching this, whatever they call the new stages, people that are joining to shoot, to breathe. And I was pissed. It just makes sense to me. They're like, breathe, connect with your body before you shoot, and they hit the target.
Yes, it helps.
Yes. The same thing that makes us laugh, make us cry.
Yeah.
So the same tool.
I am just noticing I'm needing one of Cecile's deep breaths around that, just because of what's currently going on in our world, y'all. Like,
yeah.
And remember, I want you to pay attention and make sure that instead of breathing in your chest, that you are breathing in your belly. And I'm saying this, if you notice animals, if you notice infants and toddlers, they breathe through their bellies. It's not until we get to like school age when people start telling us don't cry, when they start telling us to, ignore our feelings, that we learn how to breathe in our chest.
Yes.
So instead of breathing up here, relax your stomach. And just let it expand. Let the breath go down into your belly. You don't have to push it out. Just let the breath go down into your belly and let your belly expand. You can put your hands there if you want to, so you can feel it. And then just exhale when you're ready.
Ooh, thank you. Needed that.
Yeah. Now, Christine, we were talking, I think it was last week, we were talking about how you found an article that talked about how play actually rewires your brain. And, if people take time to like relax and play and have fun, that it actually rewires their brain.
It was actually a podcast. This is an incredible resource by Andrew Huberman out of the Huberman Lab. And he is a Stanford researcher and professor who is doing research on the brain. And he was really talking about how play and being embodied and breathing can change the neural pathways of our brain. It can help with the elasticity, which means our memory improves, our longevity. That's also tied to not getting Alzheimer's or dementia. They're starting to show studies of that. Like it lowers your probability. And so I was thinking about that when Ade said that about intuition and that, because, oftentimes people separate those. Like there's a myth that you can't be logical and in your brain and intuitive at the same time. And what this new research is showing is really like the power of it. And that especially in the Western culture, we have disengaged from that piece of ourselves after a certain age. Like there's a certain age that we're like, okay, you're done playing, you should grow up. Right. No, like you should have play in your life. And there's different types of play. I highly recommend it. And we can put it in your comments or your links to this podcast because it is fabulous. And it gets really nerdy, y'all. So like it gets really in there about why this happens. And I loved it because it talked about the neurobiology. And this was fascinating too. Talking about your cell phone metaphor, Ade, is that he was talking about when we read on our phones, especially, we normally as human beings take a deep breath and sigh without even knowing we do it. So if you're irritated by us asking you to do that, you already do this. You just don't know you do this. You're not present with it, right? So, but when we are reading on our devices, which I love to read on my device, so I'm going to be the first one that was like, it says it interrupts those breathing rhythms. And so we have to be more intentional about it because we're not getting as much oxygen to our brain. So it impacts our productivity. It impacts our memory. Y'all, play is good for you. Like everybody's like, oh, that's silly. That's nonsense. The new studies are coming out. Like we're going to make you more productive. We're going to make you more present. We're going to make you healthier by being embodied and remembering who we are and bringing that joy and childlike spirit. One more thing and I'll be quiet, but y'all, it doesn't mean we're not holding the grief at the same time. Like we are all in this work. We are holding the grief and the gratitude, but these modalities and these tools and the things that people are talking about on Latanya Summit are things that can help us do the depth and the breadth of it. It's like we can have it all, but that means looking at it all. And that means holding it all and letting it go.
Because we're all connected.
Yeah, because we're all connected. Like I said, we're all everything. You can't be the light without having the dark.
Right.
Right.
And you don't have to focus on the dark.
You have to have the down. Once you define one thing, you're automatically by default defining something else, and we're all of it.
Even love has a dark side. Everything has a shadow. Everything has a shadow. There's a positive and negative to everything. But we're so quick to judge what we think is negative that we end up judging ourselves when we're vibrating in that place. When you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling anxious, when your body is telling you something and you don't know, oh my God, I really need to get better and love myself more. No, you just need to listen more. That's the only thing. What's the body saying? The body's saying something here. You're feeling afraid. Thoughts are happening that you're not even fully present to. You should take a moment. It's like, feel like my thoughts are racing. Okay, good. That's a good place to start.
Mhm.
Everything that we feel will bring us back to ourselves if we're not afraid. And sometimes we can't do it alone. We need somebody to help us go there. You know,
Mhm.
like the kids. I can't sleep. There's a monster in the closet. As parents, you'd be like, oh, really? I'm going to do that tonight again? You're like, really? You go in there, make some noise. Pow, pow, pow. It's like, I killed a monster. And the kid goes to sleep. Sometimes you need somebody to go in there and say,
Yes.
and then you can take deep breaths. It's like, I never used to do that, but now I love it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Speaking of being whole and sitting with the darkness, I had a Facebook friend who was talking. She was sharing in a group about the experience she had where she was having this, dream. And she was like, the dream was like so scary. But then when she was like, I don't know how to get away from it. I don't know what to do with it. And then she listened to her guides and they were like, sit with it. And when she sat with it, the things that were revealed were actually positive and she felt so much love. But as long as she was away from it, she wasn't able to access it. But the minute she sat with it and just trusted, all the things that were blocking her kind of moved out of the way. And it was like, that right there was like a perfect example of sitting with something that you think is bad.
Yes.
And then it turns out to not be.
Getting
I had to
comfortable
deliver a
with being
message.
uncomfortable.
I got a message for you, and you're running. No, not me. Get away from me.
I
But
don't
you're
want it.
asking for answers right here. And the minute
Right.
we stop, it's like, oh, I won the lottery? I did not know. Dreams. I love dreams. Yes.
Just like what Latanya just said, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. We've been on for a little while, a little over half an hour. So I that's probably long enough for people's attention spans. I want to thank you guys for coming on today. As always, I had an amazing time talking with y'all. I think people have learned so much. Thank you for everything that you shared. And I'm going to ask you to take one more deep breath with me before we actually log off. Let's end on it. We started.
Yes.
All right. So one more time. Sit up so that your belly has room to expand. Relax your tummy. Relax your shoulders. Wherever you're finding tension in your body, intentionally let it go. And then breathe into your belly. And then at your own pace, just let it go. Awesome. And I'm going to encourage you, if you don't do this, if this is not a habit, it only takes a couple seconds. This is not something you can say you don't have time for. You have to breathe in order to live. It only takes a couple seconds to intentionally take a deep breath. So I'm going to invite you to do this throughout the day and notice how getting yourself in your body changes your focus, changes your mindset, and influences how you experience your day. And with
So
that,
you're saying there's no need to put deep breath on layaway anymore?
No. Instant access to deep breath.
You don't have to put it on layaway. It's free.
It's free. And you gotta anyway. You gotta breathe anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Download.
Yeah. So as always, I am sending you guys fierce love, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Cecile.
you. Thanks, Cecile.